right. I think we're live. We're going to talk about Pomme. I know it probably feels like forever ago, but we got Mr. Chris Robs took first for Pomme and Mr. Tyler Cokley. And excited to talk to these guys. We're already talking about Truman, and we'll talk about that towards the end of the show. But, we're going to jump right into it. And Tyler, I'm going to start with you, man, since you finished second. Talk about how miserable or how great it was for you, man.
A little bit of both. Yeah, my morning started off great. I think first, second cast. My plan was to go basically power fish and just cover as much water. It's kind of basically how I fish. I like to cover a lot. And usually I was trying to find a moving bait bite just so I can cover a lot of water. I hate sitting there dragging something around. Anyway, went out, started with that spinner bait in the morning. And first, second cast, caught a 15-incher. Kept going, ran all the way down the bank, hit this creek arm where seen a couple other guys were right at the mouth of it. So I kind of turned around, went back and refished the bank I just fished, caught another one. And then that was all some really wind blown. The wind had been blasting right into that big rocky bank all night into that morning. So then I finished fishing my way out, didn't catch anything else, and I went back into a different little creek arm and started throwing around a little shaky head with that, actually playing with it in my hand right here. The little crocagator beaver tail on it. Started throwing that around. I was basically pitching that out next to some laydowns or some the cover that I could see without electronics. I was just letting it basically just soak and sit there, and then you just feel them either tap it or you just see your line start moving. And it was a pretty slow, painful bite standing there in the rain fishing that way. But that's pretty much what I did the rest of the day. I cycled through some other baits trying to find a bigger bite, but ended up catching, I don't know, probably 12 fish or so, 12, 15. And after I caught my limit, I might have culled one time, but after I had my limit, that was pretty much what I ended with. Never found that big bite.
Yeah, it was tough. Just the weather alone, it made it really tough. And usually I look forward to events like that because it kind of separates the men from the boys in a sense, because some people are going to bear it out and some people are going to get off the water. But
I was just talking to somebody the other day. I said I'd rather have a tournament where nobody's catching anything than a tournament where it's just everybody hammering them. So I feel like it's almost easier to win. I feel like easier on my mind when I'm not seeing a bunch of giant fish uploaded.
I hate slugfests. I never do well in the slugfest for whatever reason. I always, it seems the tougher bites I do better.
I'm going to do different stuff. They're all catching 20s. I got to go somewhere else. But when nobody's catching anything, I'm like, well, all I got to do is get a couple bites.
And what were you fishing? Were you fishing creeks or main lake pockets, or where were you at?
Started out on the main lake, some real big chunk rock, steep bank. And then it was I fished the one creek arm, I caught a couple fish out of, and after that, it was basically pockets off the main lake. Kind of a little wind protected. Trying to get out of the little bit of wind there was at least. And it was caught. I sat there and caught a couple off of that first secondary point into that creek. There was a dock there and a bunch of standing timber, and I kind of just drug that little shaky head around through there and waited for something to pick it up.
Robs, what was your baits? I know you talked at the awards and whatnot, but what were you using?
Spinner bait and a crankbait primarily. Kind of like Tyler's talking. I wanted to find a moving bait bite. I wanted to cover water. It's springtime. It's just a good time to do that. Fish are kind of all over the place and scattered. Some are still out deep, but you had a lot of fish kind of moving up to those main lake points, secondary points, and kind of moving down the bank. Getting ready for that spawn. So I just wanted to kind of cover water and glue a moving bait to my hand.
And definitely we had enough wind, especially towards the end of the day for that spinnerbait bite. So that made a lot of sense. I threw up one for a little bit and I didn't have any success. Were you, main lake as well, or main lake pockets, or what were you looking for?
So I chose an area that I had a little bit of a variety because I didn't get the pre-fish or anything like that. And I knew the conditions were changing drastically. So I chose an area where I had a creek, and then I had where I could leave the creek and go hit the like more main lake, little smaller pockets. Then I could also fish some main lake channel swing stuff. So I wanted a variety. So in case I couldn't, find them in one area, maybe I could go to a different area and figure them out. So I was the last one to leave from where I launched from, and one guy went out right on the point of the creek. Another one went straight for those smaller pockets. So I was like, I'll just kind of start in the creek. And especially as I was going across the creek, I saw a bunch of bait fish on my down scan. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to start in this creek. There's a bunch of bait fish, and if there's bait fish, there's usually bass. So I was like, I just kind of started cruising down the creek, and then about the time when I saw those bait balls start getting smaller, I just went over to the bank, and I was about halfway back in the creek, and that's where I started.
It's interesting. We talked about how Pomme, like last year, the hailstorm? I think I missed that one. I was kind of fortunate. This year is rain. And we were all everybody seemed like they were kind of like relieved at the end of the day. But I don't think anybody realized that we got to go back there for the championship in the fall. So it's going to be interesting, like how that fishes. Pomme doesn't fish big, but it's still big enough. It's not a taney, Yeah. But I think a lot of people were relieved, but we've got to go back in the fall and catch them again.
I think fall is going to be a good bite.
I'm not mad about it. I've always liked Pomme. I've always seemed to find fish around on Pomme. It's my second win on the lake, so I'm never mad when we go to Pomme.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many guys end up in the river again in the fall, because usually that summertime and probably later in the year that probably plays a lot. So it'll be interesting to see where guys end up, but there's definitely plenty of water there.
Be some guys running up the river for sure.
I'm trying to look. I don't remember the date off the top of my head, but I know we go back to in the fall for the championship. So it's really cool. I was really thankful for the host there, Highway 86, I believe. It was pretty nice that they had some heat in there, and then Josh made some killer chili, so that was like perfect for that Hickory Ridge Marina. So that was perfect. So thanks, Josh and Hickory Ridge. It's pretty cool to have that there.
That chili might have been my favorite food that we've had after a tournament so far. That was good stuff.
Yeah, from here on out, Josh will make it, and it'll probably be the worst idea. Have a hot bowl of chili after 90 degrees.
Let's keep it early or late in the year.
Yeah, we'll keep it for when we go back to Pomme.
Yeah.
That's the Pomme special.
Robs, I was looking at your photos, and some of your fish you got your glove off, and then other fish you got your glove on. Did your hands get cold, or did you have like some grip issues that you had to take your glove off? Or
so those ones where my glove off are the ones I caught early in the morning before that wind kind of picked up. So I really wasn't cold that first hour or two. I just had I think I had my jacket off or unzipped and no gloves and felt fine. It was pretty calm, and that's actually it's weird. That's when I caught them on the spinnerbait, was first thing in the morning. My first 3 fish were all in the first hour, all on the spinnerbait. I never caught one on a spinnerbait afterwards, even though that I probably threw it 80 or 90% of the rest of the day. But I just kept going back to it and just wasn't getting bites. But that first hour gave me so much confidence that I couldn't not pick it back up. So, and that was with the less wind. So it was weird. Huh. But yeah. For early in the morning, hands felt fine. But once that wind picked up and it started drizzling rain, it got cold. So the gloves went on.
Yeah, it didn't help that they were calling for rain at like noon, and it started at like 8:30.
Yeah. About the time the rain started is when I was like, it's starting to get kind of shitty.
Yeah, and I don't know what's worse, like a hardcore rainstorm or like the slow drizzle all day long. It was it was mentally challenging, especially when it got cold too.
That was a steady rain for 6 hours. That's a lot.
Yeah. I actually stayed pretty dry. My rain gear did pretty good. I almost didn't put on my bibs at the start of the tournament. Like I said, I felt fine out there, but I was sure glad once that rain started, my bibs were already on.
Yeah.
Yep, I did not stay dry. That was the coldest I think I've ever been.
Oh yeah, I really wasn't that cold. I stayed pretty dry. Those gloves worked well too.
Yeah, my wife bought me a new jacket, and I guess it's water resistant, not 100% waterproof.
Key word.
Yeah, and it worked great. Like it took about 4 hours for it to soak through, but once it did, man, it was not good.
Did you have some dry clothes in the truck at least?
Yeah.
Always keep a set of dry clothes.
I got luckily because I launched Main Lake and I got close. I was right by my ramp. I was going to pass it, hit the point, and then where I caught a couple of my fish at for the last 30 minutes. And that was about the time that insane wind picked up. And I was right there, and the wind was blowing into that little pocket where I launched. I was like, man, I need to just get off of here. I was shaking so bad. I go over there, and wave come up over my kayak, dump my kayak over onto the boat ramp. I'm not scooping all my stuff up, throwing it up the ramp because there's just big rollers coming in there. It was wild.
I was south. I was at Pittsburgh, and that wind was coming from the dam area, and it was just like I was kind of worried. I know, like Garrett Reed and a couple of those waves were no joke. And the bad part about it is I was going down. It was a bluff there, and I was throwing the A-rig, and I finally caught my first fish, and it was 18.5. And I was like, great, now I'm gonna have to sit in this chop, throwing an A-rig into the wind, like just praying for another bite. And sure enough, didn't get it. I'm like, screw this, I'm gonna go get warm.
Yeah,
it was wild. Cokley, I know at the awards you gave me crap for sitting in the middle of the pocket on my live scope, but you didn't tell anybody about what happened the morning of the tournament and your issue. You didn't tell anybody about that. You gave me crap about sitting in the pocket about live scope, but you didn't tell anybody about what you did in the morning.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Jonathan, I wouldn't even have fished that tournament. Or I guess I would have fished it, but I would have been paddling.
Yeah.
Oh.
I forgot my quick connect and my cable for my battery to my kayak.
Do you not have a pedal drive on that?
Nope.
You need one?
No. Nope, I forgot that, and luckily Jonathan has everything at all times.
Too much stuff.
Yeah, Jonathan's helped me before, so he's usually got some extra parts laying around.
I called. I was like 10 minutes away. I woke up, left the house like 1:30 in the morning. It's a long drive for me. Get like 10 minutes away, and it just hit me. I'm like, I know I didn't bring it. Called him. I was like, dude, I messed up.
Sure enough, we got it figured out.
Got me squared away.
That was funny. Next week we got the All-American Kayak Classic. I'm assuming both of you guys are coming. Rob, do you qualify as well?
Yep, sure did.
I'm excited about that event. We talked about it before we got on here, but it looks like it's going to shape up to be some pretty decent weather. I know we're supposed to get some more rain next week, but it's nothing crazy.
Yeah, looks pretty stable all the way leading up to it. So should be some pretty dang good fishing.
You guys just jinxed it. You ruined it.
I was about to say, of course, we're in Missouri, and that could change real quick. But,
yeah, it's calling for rain now. It's calling for tsunami next week. So
yeah. Come Friday, it'll be nasty. But no, I'm excited about that event. Truman, I've done well there, and I've sucked there, but it'll be fun to see guys from across the area, different clubs and whatnot compete. And that's one thing that's different about that. It's individual, but there's also club championships on the line too. So it's pretty cool that you can qualify through your club. Rob's, what's the best finish you've had at the Classic?
I don't know. It's not been that great. I think maybe like top 30s, maybe cracked in the 20s once, but I've never done that great during the Classic. Now, Moayak events I've done really well on Truman, but I've just not pieced it together on a Classic yet for 2 days. I had a really good day one 2 years ago. I probably caught 50 fish on top water and had 50 more blowups that I missed. Day two, I don't know if I had 10 blowups, and it just went away. No, I think I was sitting right around in like 19th and, 4 or 5 inches out of first.
Yeah, Cokley and I were talking before you got on here, and that guy, James Haberly from Arkansas, it's crazy. He had 93 inches on that day too last year.
Yeah, he whacked him day 2.
Jonathan was second place on day 2 was like 82 inches or something, or 83.
Yeah, he found him for sure. Figured him out.
That's wild.
I mean, that first day he wasn't even. Where was he? So he was 9th on that first day, but that second day he absolutely crushed him. It was crazy.
What he won by like 10 inches, didn't he?
Yeah, 14 actually.
God.
I may be wrong, but I think was there 2 people day 1 that had 90 though? Like maybe one did and one was close.
88.
So yeah, 89 and a quarter. Jason Schreck, and then Josh Swigert, he had 87 and a half. And then the closest guy was like low 80s at 83.
Yeah, I knew there was a couple guys real close to 90 day 1. And then I think the guy I don't think he caught his limit day 2.
That's tough.
But I think he had solid fish though. The ones he caught, I think he had some good fish. I think he literally just needed to like fill his limit out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that last year I didn't fish the Classic, and then I really didn't start fishing these tournaments until just here recently. How does the club deal work? They all split it, I guess? So
you individual, like the payouts are just for like the 10 grams for, but basically the team championship is another. Well, this was last year.
It was 5,000, I think.
Yeah. So
and until everybody got 1,000.
Yeah, I think it's your top 3. Maybe it's top 5. It is top 5.
It's your top 5 from each club. Make up your score.
Oh, nice.
So I think it was Arkansas that won it last year. I think we won it the year before. I can't remember the first year. I remember Jeremy Mitchell winning the first year, but I don't remember who won that one.
Yeah, I think.
Are you sure Arkansas did they win it last year?
I'm pretty sure they did.
I thought Moyak did.
I know the year before, Ed and Lance and somebody else was up there towards it.
Yeah, the year before it was Brian Hillman that won it, and Chad was with them, and I think
Jared
Lance was up there, and Jared. Actually, Jared may not have fished for Moyak because I think last year he fished for that.
The Western
Kansas. I'd have to look that. We're gonna have to get Josh on there. Maybe he's. Let me see if he's on here.
Yeah,
poking around.
I can't remember now. Maybe they did win it, but I felt like we had a bunch of guys. They might have had the first place finisher, but I felt like we had a bunch of guys that kind of filled in the rest of like the top 10 and stuff.
Yeah, so like Arkansas, like we did have we had Jared, Chad, and Lance, but I from last year. But I know there was the guy that won it was from Arkansas. Tyler Zingerly was from Arkansas. There's another guy, Fanny.
I think Zach Wolverton, maybe in the top 5 for us last year. I think he did pretty well.
He's 10th, I think.
Yeah, he finished 10th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember. I could have sworn it was Arkansas, but I could be wrong. But I'm pretty sure we won it the year before last for sure. Surely there's I wonder if he's got on the website.
I found it on. I was looking at it today from 2023 and 2024.
So we won it says for 2023 is Cole Skiles, so maybe it was Arkansas the year before.
Yeah, I think they won it in 23. I'm pretty sure we won it last year because I feel like Jared may have fished because I know Jared and Chad took second. Didn't they take second and third last year? And I think Jared was on Moyak.
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember, and I don't want to say anything because I don't remember. But I know like the year that Hillman won it, I know that was Moyak, and maybe it was the year before that was Arkansas, and maybe we took it back last year.
Yeah, I think Hillman won it in 22, and that was Chad was up there, Burris, Hillman, yeah, and I don't even think that was close. I think they like just killed it.
Yeah. Are you, Chris? Are you camping again at that same spot?
I don't have a campsite booked yet, but I do plan on camping. I think I'm going to be there around State Park somewhere.
Yeah. I know Cokley and I will be there. There's a bunch of the eco guys the pro staff guys will be there. Probably more Missouri guys. I think Westerman was there last year, and there's some other Nebraska guys.
Marty was there last year.
Yep, Marty was there, and I think he's camping there again. So there's a bunch of us there. So if you guys are around that area, just definitely look out for people. It's always fun just to hang out at the campground and whatnot. So I think we were at Buck Ridge, and that's where we're staying again this year. So it should be a good time.
Yeah. The camping and kind of the getting to hang out with everybody and talk shop it's one of my favorite parts.
Okay, here we go. I think I got something. No, maybe I don't. On the All American, it's got the club records, but it doesn't have like the who won.
Who's in charge of our website? Let's get on to that guy and get him to make sure all that's updated.
Yeah, so 2021, Jeremy Mitchell won it. 2022, Brian Hillman won it. 2023, Cole Skiles. Last year, it was, what was his name? James Haberly. So, need to get Josh to update the All-American Facebook page and see who's all there. Well, guys, before we get out of here, what's it going to take to win the All-American 2-day event? How many inches, Cokley?
I said crack 180.
Ooh, 90 inches a day.
I think somebody's going to have a big day. Somebody's going to be just under 90, and then they're going to have just over 90. They'll be right around that 180 mark, I think. I think somebody's going to find them.
What do you think, Robs?
I think 85 a day. I don't know. The weather has been so crazy and the water's rising. I mean, there's probably a lot of the lake might be muddied up. Yeah. But there's always a chance somebody on Truman finds them. I mean, we had the 1-day event back in 2021 and over 100 inches was cracked in a single day. So Truman's got them, but we'll see.
For sure. Well, cool, guys. I appreciate you guys jumping on here, taking time out of your busy schedule. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. And that's all I got, unless you guys got anything else.
Nope.
No, I think that covers it. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man. Well, congrats on your win.
And the little guy here.
Looks like it's about nap time.
He had just woke up from his nap, and we had dinner, but we're approaching bedtime.
Yep.
Or he is. Once he goes to sleep, I've got work to do. As some of you know, I've now moved to Arkansas, so still representing Moyak as of right now. But we'll see what the future holds. But we've been replacing the flooring in our house, so I've got some work to do still once he goes to bed.
Nice.
Yeah, you should have invited Chad over for your birthday. Have him in.
Yeah, it's the little guy's birthday today. He's gonna be mad about that. Well, he always has to try to find the uphill slope when we do, the photos.
Yeah. Well, good stuff, guys. We'll see you guys next week. Appreciate you guys being on here. Congrats on Pomme again, finishing first and second. And see you guys out there on the water next week.
All right. Thanks, Jonathan.
All right. See you guys.
See ya.